sports. This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
All right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker. Up on YouTube Live. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan.
What's going on today?
How are we doing this afternoon?
I'd like to shout out and thank you to Chris Pronger for that Ichiro Suzuki drag bunt at the salad bar, and then he went right down to the prime rib, and then he disappeared into the night.
He walked it out the door, man, and left
he
it all
disappeared
for us.
into the night, and he left it for us. I went to get my hair cut today, people yelling at me at a stoplight, leave the Leafs, and I'm just like, oh, thanks, Prongs.
Yeah. Prongs, take it down to the studs.
Yeah, Otis Nixon drag bunt, down to the studs.
Which was not successful, right? Otis Nixon, man. Imagine.
You're right. He tried it, that weasel.
What are you thinking with the World Series on the line, laying down a drag bunt? Serves you right, Otis Nixon. Serves you right.
For drag bunting.
34 years later, how dare you try a drag bunt with the World Series on the line? What a crazy operation.
Yeah, Bronx did it.
Well, he must have called off
did.
a signal, because that's not like the third base coach would have been drop a drag bunt.
It's a Jake Taylor move, right?
It is.
Like point and then drop. Like Jake Taylor pulled off the drag bunt, but it was actually successful. You know, he made it to first. Otis Nixon obviously did not in '92. But, yeah, Prongs, he came on here yesterday and a full breakdown of the Maple Leafs, and everyone's got a different reaction. And I think cooler heads have prevailed. Go ahead, Noodles. It's all good now.
I talked to him for half an hour today. I go, well, thanks for that. He goes, what? Like, he literally is like, what? And I go, what do you mean, what? Like I said, your clips are going viral. He goes, well, what do you want me to do about it? I said, well, he goes, I just said what I meant. And I'm like, all right. Like, he shoots. Listen, it's his opinion. He shoots from the hip. But that's him in a nutshell. I've been dealing with that since 1997 or whatever when I played with him in St. Louis. Like, he's a piece of work. We chatted for half an hour today just laughing about stuff. But that's him in a nutshell. You ask him something, he tells you exactly what he is and what he feels.
Yep, that's his opinion. Right? Yep. And he's entitled to that opinion. Everyone has an opinion. That's the beauty of it, right? Yep. And everyone's got an opinion on what should happen, where the Leafs are going, what's going on with every team, right? Everyone's got an opinion on something else. Hey, maybe Ottawa's back in the fight. Big win last night. And, Montreal, they fired their goalie coach. That was long overdue. I got one of those the other day. Like, what, the inner workings of the goaltending room?
Guys,
long overdue.
You know what's scary
Long
is
overdue.
My buddy sent me an excerpt, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's group chats around, like Leaf group chats with thoughts and ideas that are so insane. Like, you wouldn't believe the stuff that goes up on this stuff. I got a little snippet of it, and I just was like, please don't ever send me that again. My buddy was like, this is what my one buddy said in the group chat about I can't imagine what goes on deep inside the group chats.
Yeah,
Maybe somebody's got to just send us in some material deep inside their Leaf group chats, and we can just sift through it and see if there's anything that's either really cool or really outrageous, because I guarantee you the people's thoughts and ideas of what should go on right now, it's right at crazy point. Like, I think it's at a crazy point where ideas are, because it's not like completely over yet where people are just like, piss on it. I don't even care about that. It's teetering.
Well, you can get to swing the other way, right? You get the Joe from the Bridge type that goes, I see a 25-4 run and they make the playoffs. And it's all you need to do is pick up this guy and that guy and trade for this guy and that guy.
Trade Robertson for McDavid. And,
yes.
Edmonton will be fine. And with it, like, it just.
Absolutely.
But you know what? There is everybody, and three of us included, we're all on multiple group chats with different friends, different, thought processes. So it's interesting I got friends in Calgary, friends in Edmonton, friends in Toronto here, friends in Ottawa. So you're, friends in Winnipeg. I heard from our buddy Jamie Thomas out there. So you get all sorts of people reaching out about not only, hey, what's going on in Toronto, but you should see what's going on in Market X. And geez, did you hear what's going on in Dallas or Anaheim?
Right.
That's the beauty of it. The league is not short for storylines. But again, as we pointed out yesterday, this is uncharted territory for this particular group here in Toronto in January. Everybody else has had this years on end.
Yes, everyone else has been through this. Well,
yes.
it does beg a very good question. What is the biggest gong show in the league right now? If you had to pick one circus above them all, I have my answer.
Yours is Toronto.
No, mine is the New York Rangers. I have Panarin's sitting out. Are they close to a deal? They got beat up again last night. They're sending letters out to their fans. Shesterkin's hurt. No one knows what's going to happen there. Mine is New York. I would say the Rangers would be number one. There's some quiet. I think Vancouver's got to be high. I'm sorry. Vancouver's high on the list. The Leafs are knocking on the door. The Leafs are.
Well, they would be in the top 5.
Yeah,
I would
they're
say.
making noise for sure.
Yeah, just when you have a home stretch like that, and you've got Willie in his tank top giving the bird, and then eating birthday cake with letters, and
is that what it was? Is that what it was the other night?
I don't know. Some kind of thank you card or something. I don't know.
So, but you know what? This is what I have a problem with. You're allowed to live your life. You're allowed to sit in a press box and eat cookies or, I laughed because the bottled water now that comes in glass, it looks like a bottle of vodka sitting there. Have you seen that? Their bottled water. Willie was sitting there. There's a glass bottle. Some people, James Duthie drinks bottled water out of a glass bottle, not the plastic. So, you pan the press box. There's cookies or some sort of thing sorted out, whatever. As long as you come back and play hard, I'm fine with it. But just people are just, as you said the other day, Brian, it's death by 1,000 cuts. You look at something, you're like, oh, I'm pissed about that. You look at something, I'm pissed about that. It really doesn't matter. It's not circumstantial until it all adds up and they're not playing well.
Right, and when it coincides with losing, that's exactly when obviously the powder keg explodes. And, that's where they're at. And for Willie, I guess he's not going to play tonight. It sounds like he'll play Saturday. He sounds close. Obviously, if you're going to go to the Olympics, I think he's got to play a game or two before that. And I'm not suggesting that's a consideration, but it might be a consideration, right? I got to get out and play, and I got to prove to my club team I'm 100% before I go to the Olympics. Stolarz will get the start tonight. It's a late start. It's a 10 p.m. start. They're back on the West Coast. 10 p.m. start. It's a quick turnaround. But I think it's actually in their best interest to get out of Toronto. They had to get out of town. It was such a
better time. No better time.
Had to get out. And they got 4 games before the break. And, we'll see what comes of it. And Brad Treliving is actually going to join us in about 15 minutes. So we're going to catch up with the GM in 15. And he's, we'll ask him about what's going on and why they're in the position they're in. And, we're going to get him to respond to this article from our good friend Jonas Siegel. And Jonas has written an article in The Athletic that I would say has gone viral. It's up there with the Pronger clip. It's gone viral. And the title of the article in The Athletic is, "Why Did the Maple Leafs Eliminate a Job Designed to Keep Players Healthy?" So Jonas, spoke with former employees of the Maple Leafs that were the director of sports science and performance. All right. So I guess there was originally someone hired in 15. He left and someone else came in. And then that guy is now actually down in Pittsburgh with Dubas. So I guess Dubas hired him and brought him in. And, and he's on the record. Jonas gets a lot of quotes from, the doctor. And he's got quotes from Dubas. And, indicating that this was a job that was in charge of basically keeping players healthy. Coming up, sports science, there's so many different sciences that go into it. right? It's not just one thing. Like sports science is not just one thing. There's a million different sciences that factor into
analytics.
This.
There's all sorts of things.
All
that
kinds
tie
of
into
different
it.
things.
Like,
Diet and sleep and rest, all that kind of stuff. There's a million different things. But he speaks on the record, and Jonas, I think, has rattled some cages here, quite frankly, with this, because I think the interpretation for a lot of people is it looks or feels cheap on behalf of the Leafs. Like, why wouldn't you pay to keep this guy? Why wouldn't you keep a seemingly important position around? And I think
that's a fair question. Like, why was this guy not kept around? Like,
and we're going to ask Brad that. We'll ask Treliving that in 15. Take us through your response to it. Why wasn't this guy kept around? What does it mean? What was the job? Like, what are you doing in terms of sports science? There's some of the quotes read to me as somewhat of a scorned ex-employee. Like there's some of it reads as if it's I was the one that magically kept everyone.
There was some arrogance to it, yeah. Like I'm
an element of it,
yeah. Like, but
for sure.
But at the end of the day, though, the one thing that strikes me that the Maple Leafs have never done is spare expense. There seems like there is 5 people for everything in that organization. So to me, that's the only thing that kind of was weird about it. Is like, okay, I can understand trimming the fat in certain situations, but the Leafs don't spare expense on anything.
Are you guys not surprised the guy from another team now spoke on this?
Yeah,
I thought he would be like,
surprising.
I'm with Pitt now, and I don't talk about that.
Yeah, well, and this is,
weird.
Bettel. The Dr. Bettel was the original guy, and Dr. Rottenberg is the guy who's now in Pittsburgh. But, yeah, I agree with you, Noodles. Like, I think one thing, my understanding, and again, I haven't been behind the curtains. Oh, you were, but it was 20 years ago, different ownership and different team. But what I've never questioned is that they treat their players like 5-star across the board.
Best in the league.
Yeah, and I think that's why sometimes when I hear, and I'll get it, and I'll have people that will come up to me and say this, you're running this guy out, or you're saying this, and the players must. I'm like, I don't think the players care that much. Some of them maybe do, but I don't think a lot of them care what I have to say because they're so insulated. There's such a bubble within Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, and within that, they are treated immaculately well. Like, they have access to everything you could ever ask for. So from that standpoint, I just find it hard to believe that out of nowhere last summer the Leafs decided we don't care about injuries anymore. We don't care. And that's not what Jonas is suggesting in the article. But it kind of reads that way, like it was MLSE that went cheap on this. And they have adjusted on the fly. Jonas points out they've hired different people for different jobs, but, it's just one more bullet that the Leafs are taking here, is, in my opinion, actually streamlining further up the system. This is Keith Pelly. Keith Pelly's taking hits now. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? How many people have you cut? How many people have you fired? Why didn't you spend money here? Why didn't you have a president anymore? You got rid of him. You got rid of Masai. What are you doing? And again, when it coincides with losing 5 in a row and being out 8 points out of the playoffs, people are going to start poking at you.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening right now.
Well, especially when you come out and say, I'm not here to sell jerseys. We're not here to sell jerseys. Wasn't that as kind of...
That was the sales pitch, and then obviously but they are here to sell jerseys. That's the thing about a quote like that.
They're always here to sell jerseys.
It's a business. They're in it to make money. Like, no one should be surprised by that.
And it's not like, if you just look at the hard facts, they had a tough homestand, 0-4-1, and they're 8 points out of the playoffs. So nobody, you think if the fan base is not happy, do you think the guys in that room or in the organization are happy? Like, to me, there's probably stress everywhere. And again, it come back to, the comments you made, Brian, like, not everything is doom and gloom, but it's just one more thing to add on to the pile that has not been positive in the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And they got to find a way to dig out, or they've got to find a way to streamline a plan, or all of these types of things. Like there's a lot of questions. That's I think what Leaf fans and people that have talked to me is like, what do you think they're going to do? What's going on here? What's going on there? And the other thing is, you said something at the starting. It's like, well, Willie coming back and Olympics, and what Willie should be worrying about? The team out 8 points out of the playoffs. Like, he should be, if he's healthy, chomping at the bit to get back in and help his teammates. Like, that's what I would hope should be his front and center priority, not making sure he's healthy so he can go to the Olympics. Because lost in all of this, the players agreed to this schedule. And now the product sucks on most nights because you're looking at a team that's dead tired. The condensed schedule, you're seeing injuries up left and right. I talk to fans all the time. They're like, man, that game was a dud. Well, the players are dog tired. You're playing 4 games in 6 nights.
No, it's very true.
Everyone's got to own all this.
And that's the reality. I mean, listen, the Leafs are not a young team. Like, they have had a lot of injuries. They're not a young team. It's a very condensed schedule. They're not alone. Like, everyone's suffering. Injuries are way up, and everyone's dealing with it. But, I think, and we'll ask Treliving this, like, how did you plan for – you knew it was going to be a condensed schedule, though, right? Like, you knew it was coming. So how do you plan for it? But if you look at 2 of their scheduling scenarios over the last 3 weeks, they played 2 nights ago in Toronto, and then 2 nights later, they're playing a 10 p.m. Eastern game. They did it when they went to Colorado. They played on the Saturday night, and then in Colorado, they played at 10 p.m. Eastern. They played 2 nights ago against Buffalo, and now tonight they're playing against Seattle. In a regular year, that would never happen. Like, never happen. It's certainly not twice within 3 weeks. You'd have a buffer day in between. You'd fly out. You'd wait a day.
Because you get out there, Hayes, and you're all jacked up. It's like you get out there and you have dinner, and then all of a sudden at 7 p.m. you can't keep your eyes open and you're going to bed.
Right.
Then you wake up at some random time at 3 in the morning, and you're like, I got to go back to bed. And then you got to fire up the next night to play. That's just one.
And
of
the other
things.
team's waiting for you, and they're in their time zone and they're building, and they're like,
guess who cares? Nobody.
Everyone's dealing with it. It's not an excuse.
It's a part of the NHL.
I'm just pointing out
I know
how different this year is. There's literally 2 examples in the last 3 weeks where they, in less than 48 hours, they're playing a Pacific time zone game against a team waiting for them. It's crazy schedule.
It is, and you're right. Everybody has to do it, and that was my main concern when it was a lukewarm start for the Leafs, because they had a bunch of home games, hadn't played much on the road. They hadn't left their time zone. The furthest they went was Chicago, I think. There was, outside of that, they went down Philly into New York. Like, there was nothing. And now all of a sudden you look at what they've got to go through here until the break. And then when they come back after the break, I believe, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, is there like 6 back-to-backs here in March and early April? Like something ridiculous. So you've got a sprint to the end. Their strength of schedule is very tough, just like the Ottawa Senators. Like they're not alone in this, the Leafs. But that is the biggest challenge for this group. There's a lot of things that you go, geez, that's going to be tough. Geez, that's going to be tough. And then you throw on top injuries. And, Willie Nylander watching in a ball cap instead of being a difference maker on the ice. Stuff like that. It's been a challenge. And how are they going to respond? Like, it's we've talked about it. Must wins, all of that type of stuff. You got to put something together here to climb the standing.
Now.
Sorry, you do.
There's no more. You can get 5 of 8, or every single game is a must win. Yeah, that's the reality, and it's the same thing. Like with Ottawa, with Florida, with a lot of these teams, even Washington. The teams that are in right now, they've got to hold on for dear life. They cannot fold, and that's the reality of what you're going to be dealing with in the NHL right now, and it's different in the NBA, but the NBA is moving in that direction too. Once you get to crunch time, you get to the trade deadline and all these rumors that are out there and who the Raptors might get and who other teams might get, that, is going to jolt you a little bit, but it's crunch time down the stretch, man. Yeah. That's where things currently land. All right, Ray Ferraro on the show today. We got Ray coming up. We're less than a week away from landing in San Francisco, and I haven't spoken with Al's brother much this week, just a little bit here and there, but we got to start really starting to zoom in on what we're picking, who we like, what we're taking, the props we're looking at, So all that still to come over the next few days. And as we said, Brad Treliving coming up this hour to respond to this article by Jonas to get his take on what's going on with the Leafs, what we can expect down the stretch here. He's coming up from Seattle. The Leafs take it on the Kraken tonight. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
Tomorrow on TSN 1050, your Toronto Raptors take on the Orlando Magic.
Jams it down! Take that with you!
Coverage starts at 7 p.m. Hear it all on TSN 1050. The Raptors live here. Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Get to our best bets later this afternoon. We're tracking the Farmers. Brooks Koepka back out there. And tracking the Australian Open, as we always do. There's a lot going on. We're inside a week of the Olympic break. It's go time, man. A week from now, It is go time. They're going to be over there. It's going to be awesome. And Brad Treliving is going to call in here in just a moment.
Sounds like the rink looks a little bit better. Did you get that news today? It seems like the rink is got lines and looks all sorted out. So maybe the Italians got it together.
Love it.
I think a little Geppetto went over to CJ and said, "Here's $10,000, and on this date, I want you to tweet out that everything's looking good."
That's great. Exactly.
Well, CJ's he's the man who's connected, right? Like he put boots to the ground over there in Milan, and he has made some connections, and that's your go-to reporter if you want to know what's going on with that rink.
Of course.
No one knows more than Chris Johnston.
He probably hated that assignment.
Yes, I'm sure he did.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure he did.
Gelato
well, we'll
see.
I mean, listen, from San Francisco to Milan, like that's the Duthie routine, right? JD's going to be at San Fran, obviously, for the Super Bowl, and right over to Milan, coming back for the trade deadline, and sure he'll find a way to get down to Augusta. It's going to be very tough.
He's got a busy couple weeks.
He's got a busy couple months.
That's why he goes to Turks to rest up.
As he should.
I was going to say, this guy, you were giving it to him pretty good the other day. So, I mean, he's had a good rest, and now he's ready to get back to work.
As he should. Yeah, as he should. Well, the weather, I mean, it is what it is. At least the sun's out, right? I'll take sun at -15. I can handle that.
I don't care. As long as it's out, I'm good.
Yes. Give me sun. That's all I need. Cloudy and -15, not happening. All right, Leafs in Seattle tonight. 4-game roadie before they hit the Olympic break. I'm guessing they're happy to be out of Toronto. They may not say that on the record, but I have to believe they might be happy considering the homestand they just went through. Well, let's go to the source. Here's the general manager of the Maple Leafs, Brad Treliving. Is that a bit too far, Brad, that you're happy to be out of Toronto, or where do things stand right now with you guys in Seattle?
Well, we've got a big game tonight. It's let's call a spade a spade. It hasn't been a good week. It wasn't a good road trip, or a good homestand. But as you have to do in this business, you park it and you worry about the one that's in front of you, and that's the one here tonight. So that's where the focus will be.
Well, we appreciate you doing this. There's a lot to get into with you, but we want to begin by talking about what we were chatting about, earlier this hour. And Jonas Siegel, a good friend of ours. Jonas is, a big part of the show, as you know. And, he wrote an article in The Athletic today. And the title of it is, "Why Did the Maple Leafs Eliminate a Job Designed to Keep Players Healthy?" And, he writes an article about how there used to be a couple of different guys who basically ran the sports science department for the Leafs. And this past year, the most recent guy who was running it, his contract was up, and he's moved on to Pittsburgh, and you guys have not fulfilled that role. And there's more to the article, but I'd like you to respond to that. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, and I get it. And listen, I understand the job sometimes is to dig into different areas of the organization. First and foremost, I'd say when we don't perform, we should take every bullet that we should take. And in this particular case, with this particular article, I just take issue with it, and I stick up for our medical staff. I think the slant of the article is, quite frankly, completely incorrect. There was a gentleman here who had Rich Rottenberg that was with the organization, left the organization, went on to Pittsburgh, a good man, did a good job. But his duties was a coordinator position. We promoted somebody into that position to coordinate, oversee, if you will, and coordinate the daily job description and the daily duties of our medical staff. And quite frankly, we've added more staff this year than we had last year. So the insinuation that we've cut back in any way, shape, or form in terms of the medical, the performance, or any of the care of our players is simply incorrect. It's wrong. And I think the gentleman that was quoted in the article is a previous staff member here. I've been here 2.5 going on. This is my 3rd year. This individual's I've never met him. He hasn't been around to know the inner workings of our staff. I would put our medical team and the care that our players get amongst the very best, not only in the NHL, but in professional sports. So I think that the article is not a true indication of the care that our players get. Like I said, we've added to our staff in terms of the player facing positions, the people that are, touching the players, administering therapy to them. It's something that we take very serious. And I think if you asked any player that's come through Toronto, the care that they get is second to none. And I think when you look at the injuries, there's certainly some injuries. You as you guys know, it's a contact sport. You're going to have injuries. I think if you really look at the numbers that we do every single day, you've got close to 100 more players in the exact same time period from October 1st to January 28th, from last year to this year. League-wide, it's almost exactly 100 more players that have been placed on injured reserve this year than you were last year. I think it's more of a result of a condensed schedule, more games being played in a shorter period of time, and it has nothing to do with medical attention. So I bring that up not to arm wrestle with anybody, but just to let's get the facts involved here, that the medical care of our players has not, will not, and never will be compromised in any way, shape, or form. And like I said, the actual truth of the matter is we've increased our staff, we've increased the amount of people that are touching the players. I think we continue as every year to improve our operation, not go the other way.
Has budgeting for something like this changed at all over the last 18, 24 months, basically since Keith Pelly arrived, in terms of, everything we're talking about, the all-encompassing, treatment of players? Do you have the same amount of money today to do whatever you'd like with it that you would have a year or two ago?
It's increased since I've been here. So the actual expenditure in terms of what we put into player performance, the individuals, the staff size has increased, the expenditure has increased. So that is never an issue in terms of what we need. I look at our sports performance staff as our goal is to be as on the cutting edge of whatever new and innovative technology is out there. And like I said, the fact of the matter is we've increased personnel, we've increased therapists, we've increased our strength and conditioning personnel and program. The success on the ice is not any, or the lack thereof that we've had so far this year is not an indication of anything to do with the medical staff, nor is it, I think the headline was, the process that we're going, or the process that we have right now isn't conducive to keeping players healthy. I would push back on that as hard as I possibly can, because it's the process continues to get better, I think, each and every year. And any description otherwise just is simply false.
With Brad Treliving, and Dr. Bettel is the name of the individual that I guess was originally hired in 2015. He left in 2019. And then, you referenced the doctor who's off to Pittsburgh now. And I think, one of the arguments Bettel was making, and he's the one that's quoting this, and he was here before you got here, Brad, was indicating that you need somebody who is medically inclined to make a call on a player if, let's say, a strength coach comes to you and goes, I think he needs to do this, and a medical or a therapist comes to you and goes, actually, I think he needs to do this. That's where you need someone who's qualified to do it. And his argument is a GM can't do it, a coach can't do it, that's where you need someone at the top effectively to make those decisions in terms of injury prevention or making a decision on an individual player. How do you respond to that, and how does that work today?
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know this Dr. Bethel, but that's exactly how it works. The coach, no member of the coaching staff, no member of the management makes any decisions with respect to players' health, players' return to play. We have a full comprehensive process that is directed by our medical directors. And to your point earlier, the position that we had last year, which I think where Jonas has gone down a rabbit hole, is in titles. We've gone from a sports performance director to a sports performance coordinator. And then we've invested more into the coordinating part has not changed at all in terms of how we go about our process. We've increased the number of people that are actually working on the players, and really looking forward. I think it's the right thing to do, and you're always evaluating it. But specifically last summer, when we looked ahead to this year and knowing that you've got an increased schedule, you've got games coming at you at a faster clip, we wanted to increase the number of really hands on the players. And so, like I said, it's if we really wanted to dig into the actual workings of the medical staff, this is not a step back. To me, this is as progressive an operation that I've seen and will continue to be so.
Tree, as far as on the ice, you talked about the homestand. Like, from your eyes, what are you seeing that led to the results that happened last week?
Well, I just generally disappointed, right? Completely disappointed in the homestand that took place. So, as I said earlier, you got to park that, and all you can focus on for the players and the coaches is tonight's game and moving forward. But as a manager's perspective, you're looking at what happened before, what's happening now, and what's going to happen in the future. I look at the homestand as, we were flat in the first game back against Minnesota. We were flat. We had fits and starts throughout the homestand, but just not the consistency level to be at the level that we needed to be against, especially with the teams that were coming in. Just, it wasn't good enough. And like I said, we knew the critical point and juncture of the season that we were in, and there's no excuse for it. We didn't perform well enough to win games, and so you continue to watch and you continue to evaluate. But ultimately, there's all parts of the game. You can look at each individual game and pick specific critical moments out. But for me, the consistency level, or the level that we needed to be at, we weren't there for enough stretches and for long enough stretches, and the results, we got the results that we got. So certainly disappointing. But for us, we have to focus on tonight. That's there's nothing you can do. The manager can be pissed off but all we can do right now is focus on the one that's ahead of us. And especially in a season like this where the games come at you quickly, that's all you can do is focus on what's ahead of you, and be ready to go at puck drop tonight.
So it was, well documented that Craig Berube had a meeting with the leaders of your team prior to the game the other night, and then we saw how the game played out. How do you respond to that, Brad, that, your coach is meeting with vets, you're a veteran team hoping for a response, and then you lose in the fashion you did against Buffalo?
Well, I think just I know there's been stuff mentioned about leader. Those are all things that are preset, right? There's regular meetings with the leadership group. So this isn't, this wasn't a call to arms here those are scheduled in advance. We, both Craig, myself, as regular occurrence, we meet with the leadership group on a regular basis of getting, a feel for, really, it's feedback both ways. The Buffalo game, again, how we came out, it's not necessarily how we came out. Again, at critical moments, it wasn't good enough. At the end of the day, you can go back. There becomes certain times where you just got to find ways to win. And, ultimately, we haven't found ways to win. And so that, to me, isn't whether you're meeting with players, those things happen regularly. So I know, things will get made about a player meeting or that. The coaches meeting with players every day. But we didn't do enough good things in that game at critical moments to win. And, when you're the trouble you've put yourself in, as much as you're going to have stretches where you go through parts of the season. As critical as that homestand was, it was made more critical by what happened in October, November. So you shortened your runway to give yourself, room for error. You're not gonna win every night, but when you put yourself behind the eight ball in a real competitive division, in a real competitive conference, you've shortened your window for having rough stretches. And we came off after a good road trip. We had been. We've been playing better. We've been finding ways to accumulate points, and you come back and you get 1 point in a 5-game homestand. You're going to have stretches like that, but when you've had, when you skinned your knee enough in the first 2 months of the season, that makes it that much more, profound of a stretch. So, Buffalo, similar to the other games, just not enough good play to put ourselves in a position to win a game.
So, Tree, you said you're constantly evaluating. Is there a timeline for you where you make a decision one way or the other on, the trajectory of the group, or is it just a constant evaluation game by game leading into the Olympic break and then leading up to the deadline?
Yeah, I think Noodles, you're always evaluating, but listen, we're very cognizant. I'm not going to come out and make any profound statements, but we're also very cognizant of where you sit in the standings, where, you're looking at probabilities, you're looking at schedules ahead of yourselves. The players and the coaches have their job to do, and that's to perform and be ready for every game. And we certainly have 4 games remaining before the Olympic break. We've got a 3-week break for the Olympics. We come back, and we've got a handful of games before the March 6th deadline. So you're always evaluating the short term. You're evaluating the long term. And my job is and always will be is evaluating where your team is at, but making decisions that don't just, we look back here. This team for a number of years, the 2 years that I've been here, a number of years before, we're spending a lot of assets. You're trying to win. Your team, you get to the deadline. It's the last opportunity for you to make additions to your team. You're trying to do things, as all teams that are in that position are, to push your team over the top. We're in a different position than we've been in the past. So you take all that information, you're continually talking throughout the league and seeing, what's in front of you. But you're planning based upon where your team's sitting and what you think's in front of you. So it's the combination, Noodles, of where the games sit leading up to the deadline, but you've also got 4 months of information already in the rearview mirror, and you make decisions accordingly.
Do you believe that, the core pieces you have here, the ones that you have locked in, is there enough here for the cup window to be open years into the future, in your opinion?
Yeah, you know what? Listen, I think we've got some really good players. I'm not. I understand the question, Brian. I believe in our players, but I'm not going to be sitting here making profound statements or doing an autopsy on the team here. We're certainly not in a position that we want to be in. So you've always got to be able to, read and react and act accordingly. But, the top end of our lineup, Willie's been out for a while, battling an injury. But every team's got that, right? But listen, I think we've got some really good players here. But we got to continue just to watch, evaluate, and make the necessary decisions. Obviously, you've got a deadline coming up that forces decisions on that. And then you go into, the remainder of the season and the off season. So we'll continue to look at things. And like I said, without being vague, continue to evaluate and see what the best steps for us are moving forward based upon where we're at.
Well, you're in Seattle tonight. As you said, looking forward, the Kraken tonight. You got then through Western Canada, then a pretty long break. And then we reset and see where it goes down the stretch. Appreciate you, the insight and you taking time for us today. We always appreciate it, Brad. We'll do it again down the road.
You bet. Anytime, guys.
There he is, Brad Treliving, the GM of the Maple Leafs. All right. Well, yeah, there's no dancing around it. Like you said, they're in a different spot today than they have been for a long, long time.
Well, that's true. That's why I asked him. I said, the evaluation, is it, do you create a pathway going, if nothing happens in the next 4 games, this is going to happen? Or, obviously he's not going to say yes, but you want to know they're going to have plan A, B, C, D, all sorts of things behind the scenes. And he was realistic. He said, listen, you read and react off the group. They're just coming off an 0-4-1. I guess – would it be different when they're 8-0-2? Is he thinking differently, right?
What I took from that is if we get smoked on this road trip, it's right in front of you. Yeah, it's, it would have to be a fantastic road trip for any kind of momentum to change or, Guys, we talk about this all the time as far as what Brad's job is and different managers. Your best assessment of National Hockey League talent has to be of your own team and your own players. And if you screw that up, you got big-time problems moving forward. So if anyone wants to trick themselves, if they crap the bed on this road trip and think that they're some kind of contender or something, or they're anything different than what their record says they are, it's a massive mistake. It's just –
Yeah, I would totally agree. I know there is a case to be made, and I don't know what the percentages of it are, but the case to be made, injuries derailed the season, what would they be if they're fully healthy and all that. But it not to the extent that drives you into the elite category of the NHL. If you fall apart here and fall apart down the stretch, then that's a big sign because they're not a young team. Again, it might be different if you're young and you're like, all right, it was a learning curve season. They're not young. They're a veteran team, and it might be a sign that they're on the other side of it. And that's why, again, I asked him, I'm like, do you think you have what it takes here, the framework of it, to be in a cup window? And he wasn't going to answer that.
Yeah, injuries are out the window. I know Jonas wrote his piece, and we're making a big deal. The Ottawa Senators played without Brady Tkachuk for 2 months.
Well, look where they are.
Brady Tkachuk.
No starting goaltender, too, for quite a while here now.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's just teams that overcome it. If you've got a deep enough team and quality enough players, you overcome it.
Well, we talked about Tampa yesterday overcoming. The other thing I took that he wants to put on my karate suit and attack Jonas. He wasn't happy with that article.
Well, Jonas will be on tomorrow, and Jonas, he'll respond. And listen, Jonas is a journalist. This is all Dr. Bettel is his name.
Bethel, I thought his name was.
Bettel or Bethel, whatever.
Samsonite, whatever.
Yeah.
He worked for the team, and 15 through 19. He actually had a funny line where I tweeted, Kessel took shrapnel. Because he goes, I remember being in an interview with Mark Hunter and Mike Babcock and pitching them on what I can do for the team, and they were laughing, saying, what are you going to do for Phil? Why is that necessary that Kessel's taking shrapnel, 7-8 years later? But, listen, it's another thing that the Leafs are going to have to answer for, and I guess he just did. His answer is – They employ a lot of people. They have a lot of money, a lot of resources. They care about their players. And I'm not going to dispute, and I don't think Jonas would dispute that they care about their player. That's not what Jonas is reporting.
Yeah. And for everybody listening, let me just inform you of one thing. Anybody looking after sports science or any trainer, that's not the reason why these guys are where they're at. Everything could be a factor.
Ask every team.
Yeah. There's all kinds of different factors, but as far as what they're doing on the ice and their record and why they are where they are, that's the players going out there and playing and not being good enough doing it. That's the main factor here.
That's what
you
they
can
are.
dig in and try to find some different shrapnel pieces and chuck them around. Where you're a journalist, that's what you do. That's fine, but it's not the reason they're at where they're at.
All right, Rays coming up in about 15. We got Colorado and Montreal tonight. Obviously, Edmonton taking on San Jose. Celebrini McDavid tonight. So we'll get into a number of things with Ray. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on TSN 5.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Just watch me dance.
All right, we've been saying it for weeks. This is your chance to walk alongside the legends. We're sending one fan to be our correspondent at the Players' Championship. You can't beat this down at TPC. Cannot beat it. Can't beat it.
I know, but next year, Hazy, we're going to. I can't stress that enough.
You're
with the correspondent?
This,
I love it.
Yeah, we'll be a correspondent for our own show. Is that what your plan is? Like,
no, like the correspondent can go, but we're also going to be on site as well to interact.
Corresponding.
Host.
We're going to correspond down there. I like that idea. I like that idea. I'm with you on that idea.
I agree. I'll go.
I'm hoping it comes to fruition. That would be great. The three of us and a correspondent live from the players. But this year, we're not going, but someone else is. Flights, hotels, cash, once-in-a-lifetime, VIP experience, courtesy of the PGA Tour. Go to tsn1050.ca. So get to the website, tsn1050.ca, and submit your audition tape today. So many different options that you can do, and show us why you would be the best option for TSN 1050's unofficial correspondent at the players. Again, get to tsn1050.ca. You can't beat this. Weather will be perfect. Great course. Brooks Koepka's going to be there. Be great if Patrick Reed was there, but he won't be. But Scheffler, McIlroy, the whole crew, all going to be down there. Tracking the Farmers. Race coming up in the next hour. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on the TSN app.
You're going to want to hear this. Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
This is Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hour 2 Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles, McLennan, Ray Ferraro coming up in a few moments.
Hazy, I just want to let you know I threw a red challenge flag at my friend today regarding certain texts that were inappropriate.
Okay.
And he understands now.
All right. I appreciate
Al's
that.
Brother? Did Al's brother get involved?
No, it's just like when you're interconnecting friends and then other friends, there was just a random thought that my buddy texted that should have just came to me, but Hazy was looped in. So I had to throw the challenge flag, and I said, he doesn't need to be looped into that. That's for me and you.
Yeah, and I love him. I love your buddy. I love him. He's a great guy. I've known him a long time.
I know.
And
but you know the rule where, and this would never happen with him, but this I know where this could go. Because you don't want somebody texting saying, hey, tell your buddy to stop texting me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that. I hope you expressed that to him. I did not tell you to send the message to him.
Yeah.
He needs to know that because I don't need that out there that I was – because everyone's done that every once in a while. Hey, the group chat that you put me in with your guys getting a little too carried away.
Can't you just leave the chat?
Not when
leave
there's
chats.
three people.
I used to leave chats all the time.
It's
man.
such an ignorant look, though. When
leaving a chat?
You can leave a chat if it's a 16-person chat. I think that's fine because it's getting too carried away. A 3-person chat, you leave. You're basically giving the middle finger to both guys, right?
Yeah,
you're
See, I don't want to hear this.
But it sends the message saying, maybe I was not supposed to be involved here.
Yeah.
I have no problem
Right.
leaving a 3-person group chat.
And to be fair, again, the text, it was completely out of left field, the context of it. But it was harmless. Like, it wasn't totally
You want to know what the
reasonable.
text was, Noodles? It was how expensive hockey equipment was. And I'm like, I had alarm bells going. I'm like, Haze, that's not for Hazy.
It was a weird. I was reading through it. I'm like, am I in on this? Like, are we doing this stuff? Because usually
the thing is, we already know it's expensive.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
We have kids that are playing right now.
We
Could you
don't need
imagine-
that one.
Don't
Yeah,
need
can you
need that
imagine
one.
if it was something else, though? Like, how expensive is this? Or how, why did he say that or whatever? You don't want that. So you're right. Like, but I would have no problem just leaving a chat group.
No,
you don't
I
like
don't
what's
feel
going
good
on
about
there.
it.
You just excuse yourself, and out you go. They might not even notice. That's the difference. They might not even notice.
I think so, but I think you bring up a good point that it's the tip of the iceberg. Because if this gets engaged, the next one is, hey, what's the weather like? Okay, now we're getting a little too far here. Hey, have you guys been to Metro lately? No, I haven't seen. I don't know. You got to stop it.
That's why I leave
cut it
group
off.
chats. It's like, I went and had a couple beers. It's just like, I don't. No way am
Not
I getting
necessary.
involved. No way.
Wait till we get to San Francisco. There's going to be group chats going everywhere, man. The San
Not
Francisco
really.
group chat. No, you guys are going to exclude yourself.
Well, no, I think the
I'll
three
be
of
in
us.
I'll be in no group chats. It's
Okay.
work. I want to find a hockey sports bar and watch some puck and bed and work and out.
Well,
I mean, there's people there. Luke's going to be there. Kara Wagland, Duffy,
JD
all of
will
them.
be there. Everybody.
Like, we are included, I believe, on like emails, which I still challenge that never gets those emails or never responds to them.
Jamie, I don't have a company email. I don't.
I know. But when I'll say,
Selective.
did you get that email about that? You go, no, I didn't. But I've
Selective.
seen your name on there. And I'm like,
Well,
okay.
and
Like,
to answer that, if it's an email about something else, like, hey, we got to, like, put it this way.
Yeah.
You got an email that said, we're playing Augusta tomorrow. Hey,
guy
guys.
writes back.
Just
I told you
all
I
of a
don't
sudden
have.
he's
I
responding.
wouldn't get it.
You would get that
Yeah,
one. I think
that
you
one
have.
has an
I think you
alarm
get
bell on it.
filters is what you
Yeah.
have. Anything work related, That's X'd out.
There's probably a word in there that says free or golf or something like
Right,
that.
exactly.
And it allows him through to his phone. Outside of that, it's like, no, blocked.
Guys, we're playing Pine Valley tomorrow. And it's a private bird. All of a sudden, the email comes back, Jeff.O'Neill.
Yeah,
I'm like, wow, he's on there.
Yeah, gee, he does work.
Man, he got
now,
a
is there any
response.
good courses in San Fran? Are you guys bringing sticks or no?
Great courses, man.
You're not, golf
we're not
right?
bringing our clubs. Like, we're not.
There's no time because it's Western time, and we're on the air at 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
so.
1 to 3. There's no chance. But there's some great courses. And plus, Pebble's like an hour and a half away.
That's right.
Right? It's just south of there.
Yeah.
But TPC Harding Park would be there's a lot of great places.
Olympic Club.
Olympics there. The 18th at Olympic is so sick. It's such a cool hole. The whole course is great. They just had the USAM, I think, at Olympic last year.
They did.
What type of swag do you think we're coming home with? Like, that's the one thing I'm thinking about is, somebody walks by from New England, like, hey, can I get that hat?
I'm done.
Kind of coat.
Tom Brady walks by.
I'm
Let me get those
out.
shades. You're swagged out? Okay, I'll believe that when I see it.
Nothing.
Yes,
I'll
free
believe
swag.
that when I see it.
Yeah.
All right, joining us now on the Maple Toyota Hotline, here's our good friend Ray Ferraro. What's happening, Ray?
Just catching up to what you guys are talking about, which is always entertaining. Got a little bit of I do have to say, I do have a bit of a knee problem going here, which is kind of sucks. And, just getting some old worn out parts. So I'm looking for a new workout. Like, I can't lift as much. And I'm looking at like some yoga or I don't know, judo or tai chi or something. Do you guys, Sensei, do you have any exercises?
Honest to God, like, I wear one brand new shirt that I was very proud of, and I took shrapnel left and right. Like, Chris Pronger is telling the Leafs Nation, take it down to the studs, you do this and that, and O is going, what are you wearing? Are you wearing a karate outfit? I'm like, it's just a sweater.
I got to tell you, I called O this morning, and I said, I just saw some of the clips that were refreshed overnight, and I said, I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. I said, the best part is Noodles loved that shirt. And if Noodles is on it, he'll wear that shirt again today. Yeah. That would have been the play.
Well, guess what, Ray? There's another one coming soon in a different color, so we're going to see lots of them.
I ordered multiple shirts in different colors. That's what I do. I like something.
I get it. And when you get a Dynamite one like that, you get every color.
This one has a slight adjustment. This one has a slight adjustment to it. But I got home, like, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
What's the adjustment?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so
enlighten us.
What I was wearing yesterday was a beautiful sweater that had a built-in tie. Like, the tie was black on black, okay?
Right.
But the tie was a wrap.
Hey, have you ever heard of that before?
I have not since. So, that's one step up from the clip-on we used to wear in the seventh grade.
Here's the thing, so the models were all like, male models that were stunningly looking and stuff. So Steph didn't see it live. She saw it on SportsCenter because she was at the rink with my son. So she saw it on one of the TVs. She goes, you look like Eddie Murphy from Coming to America. That's what she said. She goes, you're wearing some sort of like an outfit. And I was like, it's not an outfit. It's a sweater with a built-in tie. And the tie was kind of like a sachet. And she's like, that looks like you're wearing one of my scarves. And I said,
I know,
no,
but you just mentioned like a male model. Like, were you at a fashion show and you saw a guy wheeling down the aisle in that?
Wild.
I told you it was one of those things you scroll on Instagram.
Oh, yeah, for sure it was.
And all of a sudden it was like this website comes up and it's this, glorious clothing. And I'm like, all right, I ordered one. I ordered some pants. They were so comfortable. They're great. I love them.
Dude, I can't wait to see them.
The shirt arrived yesterday, and I put it on. I put it out of the wrapper on my body, and then I knew right away when we went live. People were like, what is Noodles wearing? What is Noodles? I'm like, oh, my God.
Noodles, the problem with those websites is sometimes they're like, if you've got stubby fingers,
Yeah.
There's the cool website with the clothes, and there's like Party City right beside it. And you might have got some some witch outfit from
looks
Party
like
City.
something from Party City. Almost.
I'm telling you, the models were way better looking and in better shape than me.
Well,
but I love the sweater. I'm going to bring it to San Francisco.
You better.
I need it in San Francisco. I need to see
that is a must.
Yes.
That has to go.
Could you imagine that? Like Carissa Thompson walking by Noodles being like, "That look at that guy's tarp. What
I think
a
there was
look
a lot of people.
on Radio Row."
I got notes from people that I know and trust that wrote and said, "Don't listen to the haters. I love them."
I saw that too. I saw that too. To be fair, I saw a lot of support out there.
You rocked that thing at the Super Bowl with a nice jean short and a black boot. Tucked in, and we are in business.
Jean shorts and a black boot.
We need
it. Yeah, it'll be ugly.
Well, speaking of styles, I'm curious where you stand on. I guess Colorado's wearing the Nordique gear tonight against Montreal. They're at the Bell Center.
Yeah,
like I think that's it's like a shot at people.
No, it
isn't.
It's good for the game. It's like it's a great uniform, and it'll bring back some feelings, and it'll bring some buzz. Just the people in that building, because there's a lot of old school hockey fans in that building, and I think it'll just get the juices flowing in there. Ray, do you not?
I don't. I used to really dislike when Carolina wore the Whaler jerseys. Mainly because for decades they did everything to disassociate themselves from the Whaler lineage. And then I looked at them and I'm like, and it's a marketing thing, of course it is. And then I thought, well, so what? Like the NBA has, and Major League Baseball, they have multiple jerseys. Hell, you can't even tell what they're wearing half the time. Who cares? They look good. Those jerseys, the Hartford and Quebec in particular, they look great. Mm-hmm. The colors pop, and people like them. So, like, who cares? I'm all for it. I think it's like a third jersey sort of deal, but I think people like them. And if they were really ugly and dull, I don't buy them. It's almost like when the Wild go. I think it's a better jersey when they wear the bright green, the old Minnesota North Star. Mm-hmm. I love those. Right. I think they look awesome. So I don't. It seems weird seeing Nathan McKinnon wear Quebec Nordique jersey, but I don't know. I think it's just fine.
They look awesome. I guess I'm getting sensitive. I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of people in Quebec
fans,
City.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's like, really? You're going to taunt us with that? Like, I know they left 30 years ago, but
still a sore spot. I mean,
it wouldn't be for me.
What if Winnipeg wore the Atlanta Thrasher?
Well, right now they probably should.
Right. They're
playing better, but yeah.
But those. By the way, when we saw those jerseys the first time, I don't know how many of us knew that the Thrasher was the state bird of Georgia. But we're like, what are we wearing? Like, what is this crest? And then you're like, oh, it's not bad, I guess. But, like, the blue ones didn't look anything like the white ones. There was, put it this way, the Thrasher era, if it was such a thing, was misguided from the very start.
Right. Well, we were talking about gong shows in the NHL earlier. And, obviously the Leafs are knocking on the door, and we'll get to that momentarily. I said I think the Rangers are at the top of the list. Just the way everything's gone, writing letters to the fan base. And now Artemi Panarin is not playing. They're just, keeping him out of the lineup and with the plans of trading him, clearly. What do you think his value is around the league? And, do you have a spot in mind that you think would make the most sense for a guy like Panarin?
Well, value will depend on whether there's some kind of extension tied to him. I as much as this is a health thing, it's keeping him out of the lineup right now. To me, it buys time for agents to get involved and to see if you can work out a deal, because you're only gonna if you're the acquiring team, you're only gonna pay so much if you've only got him for the next 5 months. Potentially if you go through and deep in the playoffs, or if you've got him for 4 more years, that's a whole different game. So he doesn't want to move twice, and I think that's entirely his right. The one thing the Rangers have to be careful of is that he says, okay, I'm not moving twice. And I don't have an extension done, so I'm staying here until the end of the year. Like, he could easily do that. As uncomfortable as that might be, that would be his leverage point. He's got the no trade, and really he's going to determine where he's going to go. What the cost is, man, he's led the Rangers in scoring 7 straight years, this being the 7th. He's a creator. If you've got a shooter, I would want a player like Panarin around. Like, he's a really, really good player still. And I don't think time will really bite him, because it's not like he's super fast right now. He's played the same way for the better part of his career, and he still puts up huge point numbers.
That's where I was going to go, Ray. Like, certain teams that either have tremendous team speed, if you're going to add a guy like that, like, my joke with him, and I know it's a little over the top, is most nights I think he has dry hair. Like, I think he just goes out there and it's perimeter, and here's a rocket pass through the seam for a goal to Zibanejad, or he's got a pretty good sneaky shot himself. But he's not a guy that goes and gets the puck. He's not a dominant guy through the middle of the ice, anything like speed through the neutral zone. But he just seems to be cerebral and at the right spot. And
yeah, you know what? Noodles, I agree with that. I call it he's a feel guy. Like, he feels the game. So when I read that Carolina's interested, this didn't work with Rantanen when Carolina tried. Remember, stylistically, it didn't seem to fit. Maybe his heart really wasn't in it as we look through, that he ended up trading him again. I don't see Carolina as the right type of fit for him. I see Los Angeles because they need offense, and they need a star.
Right.
And Kopitar's retiring. They're going to have pockets of cap room at the end of the year. And LA feels like a team that, now, do they really have a shooter? I guess Kempe or Fiala. But, like that would be one team that I would think of. Dallas makes, to me, the most sense. But how are they going to sign him to an extension when they got to sign Robertson too? And then you have to decide between the two of them.
Right.
And that would make that really tricky.
Well, I know San Jose has popped up a little bit, and they're in Edmonton tonight. And, this Celebrini kid, man, is he something else.
So good.
Yeah, like what kind of impact do you think he'll have on the Olympics?
This may be – I think he's going to be in the top half of their forwards in impact. I watched him the other night, and I said he was in Vancouver. He had the first time he was in Vancouver. You know how you get all jazzed up to play at home. The first time in Vancouver this year, right after Christmas. Now, the Canucks aren't great, of course, but he had 16 shot attempts. 2 nights ago, he had a goal and 2 assists. He had the puck on his stick the whole time. And I said at one point, can you imagine that there was actually a discussion about whether this kid belonged on the team or not?
Yeah.
Like on the Olympic team. Hayes, I think he is an impact player on the Olympic team all day long. I know. I guess the one thing that gives me a little hesitancy is he's probably going to come out of the middle and go onto the wing, and maybe that's a little bit different for him. But he's got his personality is that he doesn't sit back. It's not like he's going to go in there and be bold and make all these great, loud noises and all that stuff. He'll fit in whatever the hierarchy is of the team, but he's going to play. I would say he's as bold a personality on the ice as you'd want your players to be. Like, he's not scared of anything.
Mm-hmm. Ray, if Braden Point can't play on that team, who would your replacement be? There's been a lot of armchair quarterbacking that one. Who would you put on it?
Oh, I'm starting to lean a little bit to Zach Hyman because I do think if you do pick Hyman and and you decide for whatever reason he's not going to play with Crosby, pardon me, with McDavid, then at what point on your roster is Zach Hyman going to hurt you? Nowhere. Like he is. Remember, he was a penalty killer. I mean, he's really good at it. He could be on your grind line. He could do that. He can defend the lead late. And pretty clearly, he's got great chemistry with McDavid. I didn't think that before. I wonder if they'll have a tough time going past Bennett. Bennett's played really well and felt like he should have been on that team, for me anyway, at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably one of those two guys, for me anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, like you said, Hyman is just so predictable, and McDavid's probably going to make it work. They got options. They got a lot of good options. They're lucky to have that. Now, in net, they might not, right? Logan Thompson banged up, and day-to-day, I would assume he'll be on the plane right next week, Noodles. But
Binnington hasn't been great. I mean, Hofer's playing ahead of him most nights. It's just, it is a struggle there, but you need somebody to be able to, I look at it, I don't think the goalie needs to win you it, but he can't lose you it.
I know, but Noodles, hasn't Binner's numbers actually gone down since the announcement?
He's had a poor year, overall for the most part, but again, goaltending was the problem or the Achilles heel heading into the Four Nations until it wasn't. We're going to be talking about it again because it seems like it's the Achilles heel on paper until they get exposed, or if it gets exposed. And that's the biggest challenge. Ray, I don't know how you feel about it, but all the other countries are better on paper.
I don't think that's – God, there's no question really that somehow Canada's gotten to this place where for a couple of decades we had all these great goalies, stumbling all over each other, and now that's not the case. I remember back, of course, I'm sure we all do, to 2010, where the guy that played the gold medal game was not the guy that started the tournament as the number one goalie, right? It was Marty Brodeur in goal until Luongo took over. And then in the final, Ryan Miller was unbelievable. And Luongo did just what you said, Noodles. He didn't win them the game, but he certainly didn't lose them it.
Right.
And there's got to be some level of confidence in your goalie. And I don't know how Canada has that. Now, if Thompson is not in the mix and apparently got hit in the head with a shot, so, we're probably talking about some concussion-like stuff, I'd assume. And you've got, who's the next guy? Is it Mackenzie Blackwood?
Yeah, I like him. I watched him last night. He is good. 6'4" and can move.
If he's on the team, I think he's the best guy.
I think he's their best, their most talented goaltender.
Yeah.
Yes, but I mean, Binnington has pedigree. Kemper's won. Thompson statistically has been really good. You look at it, but if I had to build a goaltender from the Canadian side, Blackwood's 6'4", 225, 230 ripped and can move like he's 5'8". He moves well. But again, he would be a guy I would look at for sure.
So I guess with the games on back-to-back nights to open, or days, whatever the timing is, so they split the first two games probably and then decide for game 3. Now, that doesn't have to be your final decision, but I would assume that's probably part of the, their planning meetings about trying to make sure everybody has their shot, has their place, and the plan becomes clear.
Yeah.
Ray, we've asked a couple people how they're viewing the Leafs and how they would map out the next 6 weeks if you were running the team. If that was the case for yourself, what would you be focusing on with what you've seen in the last 10 days or and basically the whole year? How would you map out the next 6 weeks?
Well, Drake said this morning, we were doing our podcast, and he said, they're not ready to throw the towel in. And I said, well, I hope they've got it in their hand. This is like a timeout challenge when the NFL coach is walking up on the sideline, or the review challenge. He's got it in his hand, I hope. This is not a time for the Leafs to add anything. Like, what are they going to trade at this point? Like their first rounder in 2047? Like you need some draft picks eventually. They're not good enough that one player is really going to tip them over the edge into being a legit contender. They're 8 points out of the playoffs. And the problem they have is that the two wild card teams are also two teams from the Atlantic. So you can't even say, they just have to get to third. Like they've got to get to fifth, but those are 8 points ahead of them, right? They can't even leapfrog other weaker teams. They got to fight through their own division still. In my mind, there's a time to buy and a time to sell, and this is the time to sell. Whether they want to or not, I think there are times where managers get shoved onto the road that they don't really want to be on, but you have to accept that and say, this is where we are, and this is legit what we can be. They're an inconsistent bunch. They've been that all year. You can say, this homestand, they didn't have Nylander, which is a gigantic piece out of their lineup. They're a way different team when he's there. You remember the game he got hurt. He had a goal and an assist in the first 5 minutes in Vegas, and then he got hurt. And so I wouldn't forget that either, but I'm not buying at all if I'm Toronto. I'm going to bite the bullet here, and I think if you look at what Boston did last year, they traded 5 players at the deadline, including some very important ones for them. And they ended up with Fraser Minton and unbelievably the Leafs first rounder if it's not number 5. So if the Leafs finish 6th from the bottom, people are aware, right? If they finish 6th from the bottom, that picks Boston's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like this is no time to be buying. I would look at Boston and say, if I don't want to go into a full process of trying to rebuild this team, then I would look at what Boston did. They identified what type of team they wanted to be. They offloaded veterans for younger players, including like a guy you never even thought of, that who's Nadinov. And all of a sudden you're like, geez, I did a game 2 weeks ago. He got 4 goals. I know it's the game of his life, but still, not many guys get 4 goals in a game. But they became a competitive team again. Or you go further than that, but that involves into the off season, and you do, as Prong said yesterday, you strip it way back. And they've done it before. They got lucky when they had the number 1 pick that Matthews was sitting there. That's not always the case, but I think there's a stark reality they have to face.
Yeah, and I think they're also deep enough into the season, it's not that hard of a sell to their fans. Fans aren't stupid. They've seen it. They've played 53 games.
I said, Hayes, if the Boston Bruins can say it to their storied fan base, there shouldn't be any issue. It's not like Leaf fans should be so offended where it's like, how could you do that to me? Boston did it. People kept their jobs, and they turned it around.
Right.
Like, it doesn't have to be...
The Rangers keep writing letters.
Yes.
And, and so they're doing it. Like, I totally get it sucks. Like, and I totally get, too, that managers are really sensitive that if they go ahead into this process, what does that do for their chair that they're sitting in? Are they cutting off one of the legs of their own chair? But it's the right decision. In a lot of cases, like, I don't agree with some of the way the Rangers acquired these players, like in the team they put together at the start of the year. But I think what they're doing is absolutely the right thing. And I think it stinks for them. It really does. I think Vancouver's the same thing. I think Winnipeg's got to get there too. I think the Leafs have to get there too. Like, you have to look, what are we in the game for? If it's to be a middling team, well, then maybe you don't have to do that. If you're aspiring to be better than that, there comes a time when, for the teams I mentioned, you got to take a look at this and go, now's not the time. Now's the time to sell.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. All right, Ray. Sayonara. Sayonara, Ray.
Hey, guys, good to chat with you. Noodles, bring that the new color. What's the other color? I can't wait to see that.
Don't reveal until San Fran, man.
No,
well,
just give us a little sniff.
It won't be here for San Fran, I don't believe. It was.
So what is it? Tell me it's like a baby blue.
No, it's a.
That would be awesome.
On the website, it said khaki. Khaki. I don't know what that color is. Like
oh, good. And the tie matches the khaki shirt.
I love a khaki.
Noodles, I hope it comes khaki but camouflaged. That would look amazing.
Khaki on khaki. Dude, you're in like the 2050s of style. Like, you're way ahead of your time.
Exactly. I'm ahead of my time.
That's what's happening here. Noodles is a trailblazer.
Unbelievable. Guys, have a great trip out there. Hey, enjoy it. And we'll talk to you, I'm sure, after the Olympics for sure. But we'll talk soon.
Can't wait. Thanks, buddy. There he is, Ray Ferraro of the Ray and Dregs podcast and ESPN. Joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. It's time the Toyota and the 2025 Prius go up to 72 kilometers on battery alone, then seamlessly switch to hybrid mode. Check it out at Maple Toyota near Canada's Wonderland in the Maple Auto Mall. All right, best bet still to come. Raptors pumped by the Knicks last night. Pumped. Man, they had that game early, too, and I said it. I'm like, I'm going to lay the points here. They end up losing by 30. They can't beat the Knicks. The Knicks just pump them every single time they play. And maybe that was LeBron's last game in Cleveland last night. That's what he's claiming. Maybe it'll be my last time.
Did you see the fake tears? The fake tears were outrageous.
He's laying it on thick. I think he wants out before the deadline. I think there's a chance he might get dealt. That would be crazy.
Yeah, it would
LeBron and Giannis before the trade deadline. That's a trade deadline.
Yes.
All right, OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on TSN 4.
There's a hit piece out on us. There might be more underneath the hood. I'm here to tell you the house is on fire and you should get out before the end. Whose end?
The Borderline. Special preview February 8th on CTV and stream on Crave.
Saturday on TSN 1050. Your Toronto Maple Leafs head out west to take on the Vancouver Canucks, trying to save their season. Coverage starts at 6 p.m.
Johnny Toronto!
Hear it all on TSN 1050. The Leafs live here. Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, best bets later in the hour. See, Joe Brady was announced to the media down in Buffalo today. And this new theme in the NFL, and I don't think any other sports do it, but possibly, they have to do like the first day picture reel. And they had him walking in, and he had shorts on for some reason in freezing cold. And they had him in his office, and he had like 3 different computers. And
dude, I don't know why they don't like.
Why do you have to do that?
Why, if I was him, I would say I've been here. Like,
right.
Yeah.
We got to cut the crap with this. Like,
right.
If you want to do a press conference, I'll answer questions. After that, it's over. I'm not doing the Brian Dable getting out of the pickup, wheeling in with his Wrangler jeans on and his cowboy boots. And it was just like, what are you doing?
It's every coach apparently has to do it. Like, I don't know if this came from the NFL, like Goodell's desk, mandating new coach, you need a Rolodex of photos.
Dude, what about Stinky Robert Salas? He's got 15 kids, I think.
Yeah, he's got 8, I believe.
Really?
I believe he's got 8. I don't know what that has to do with anything.
What is this?
This is Joe Brady. You know, bright and early walking up, and he's in shorts for some reason getting out. But, I like this one because this is – I'm so dialed in. I showed up before the sun came up.
Dude,
right?
Come on.
Hard work,
it's like,
man.
Dude, you don't – but this is my favorite one. I'm going to smile in front of my new computer. It's like, is this a Best Buy ad or is this guy the new head coach of the Bills? Like, what kind? Like, look at that. Hey, I'm looking at something new on my laptop. How does this help the fan base think, wow, we really hired the right guy? You know
I
what
don't
I mean?
think that. I don't think that did a whole lot for the fan base. I think Buffalo Bills have the expectation. I think they're probably pissed off they missed out on Harbaugh. I don't know. But I think this is when they got this. We'll have to ask Coco. When they saw the news, he was probably like, what?
Yeah, he would be happy.
And the offense, was okay this year. Not great. Run game was great, but.
Well, I've got a dear friend, Rhett Warner, who's a Buffalo Bills fan, and I talked to him, and he's like, nope. He goes, you're looking for change, and it's not change. It's like, hey, the guy to the left, you step now to the middle. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, I hope it works out for them because I thought the Bills were going to win the Super Bowl this year, but didn't you and me, Hayes, predicted at the start of the year? I thought they were in good shape.
Felt great about the Bills.
But,
who do you think ultimately had the biggest kind of hand in the selection? Because I know.
I would assume Josh Allen, but they're pushing back. Well, they're pushing back on that. I mean, Brandon Beane claimed today that Terry Pegula, after the second interview, said, I think you're our guy and you're the next head coach. And so I guess Pegula was impressed and Beane was impressed. I don't know. I mean,
it's hard to take the fracker seriously after he's getting shredded still for that presser, man.
Yeah.
He is.
I mean, I get it. The presser was awful. That poor, was it Coleman, 22-year-old?
Coleman,
you feel bad for him. He didn't do anything. He's just taking heat. Thing is you talk to people in Buffalo, Pagula's done a lot. Like, he's dumped a lot of money into that city. He's been patient. Look at the Sabres. He just keeps, put a lot of money. Hopefully it pays off for him. But at 14 years, no playoffs, and a lot of shrapnel. The Bills, he's hung in there. But still, that was a bad look for him. That was a bad, like, from a PR standpoint, you wonder, what was Kevin Adams dealing with there? Was this guy's finger, telling him to do stuff when he maybe didn't want to or whatever? Kevin Adams might win GM of the year if Buffalo goes on a run. Crazy.
Wouldn't that be incredible if a guy that's fired got the GM of the year award? That would be
And
great.
fired when? In December?
Yeah, he got fired, right around December. Yeah, it would have been around when Steve Sullivan got fired.
I think Kevin Adams, I think he put himself in a position. I know it was think of all the GMs that are around for a long time that don't do squat. If I was looking for somebody, you got to look at that and say, he's the guy that put that team together in Buffalo.
Yeah. Yeah, he deserves a lot of credit for what they're currently going through. It's his team.
All of it. It's all his team. They haven't made one transaction.
I think Yarmo's made a couple signings. He signed some guys, but he hasn't. I don't think he's traded for anybody. That's all Kevin Adams, the whole crew. Now, you look at it, there's some stability within the organization. I don't know, or it seems like it anyways. I don't know. Did it seem different with Adams running it than Yarmo? It's
How
the
would
same
you know?
cast of characters.
Amy, you played in the league a long time. Players don't give a rat's ass who's running around upstairs in those offices. You got a job to do on the ice.
I know. I got traded to the Rangers. One of my first practices at their practice rink, Glenn Saylor walks in a robe with a stogie. He's wearing a white robe and a cigar. And he's, introducing him. Hey, how you doing?
Shocking he didn't have success in New York. That's a bad look, man. I mean,
he had at that time. Keep in mind, this is like 2004. They had an $82 million payroll back then because he was paying Holik and all of those guys were making $10 million a year. The money
Yager was there. Bure was there at one point.
Lindros was there.
And Leach was still kicking around.
They traded Leach a couple days after. I walked in the room. There was Leach.
Yep.
There was Barnaby. I think they traded Barnaby. They were trading. They were just fire sailing it. It was, and I stayed on the other end. I was the guy coming in.
Right.
It was a circus, and I feel bad. They've won a cup. They've done all these things, but the Rangers right now, that's a storyline, Brian. That's a big one.
It's interesting. Kevin Weeks, tweeted out basically half the league is called on Artemi Panarin, but he indicated the Leafs were one of those teams that called on Panarin.
Of course they did.
Well,
you got to do your due. They got to just sniff around. Everybody probably called on him.
But here's the thing: we've been saying ever since Marner left, got to find a way to replace Marner. That's kind of what Panarin is. He's not as good defensively, nowhere close to it, but he's a. You put him on the wing with Matthews. Matthews is probably going to be pretty happy.
You're back into something there. I think
you put Panarin with Matthews and take Max Domi off. That's probably a pretty significant boost.
Big time.
But again, 8 points out. This market would go nuts if they were buyers.
Well, the cost of doing business for that, Brian, would be
I don't even know how you could do that.
And guys, this particular player, Hayes, I don't know what you guys think. I'm not exactly high on this guy right now.
Dry hair, man.
Dry hair, and it's what has he ever done in a play? I don't think he was a part of any of the Cups in Chicago. He came after that.
Yeah, he came after.
Listen,
So I don't know. It's just at his point in his career and his kind of approach to the game, obviously he's one of the most skilled guys that's ever played the game, but not for me. And it would be the last thing that this team needs.
Do you know what he reminds me of? The guy they already have, 88. Different players,
similar though,
but Willie, enigmas, right? They leave you wanting just a touch more. But, what we always do is focus on the negative instead of the positive. Panarin is an elite passer.
His
He's got a good shot.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. He can play. And same thing, Willie can play, but we're always going, just give me a little bit more here, a little bit more there. But Panarin has that, kind of Willie feel, but he's been more productive, I believe, points-wise.
Well, he had 120 points a couple years ago, I think.
And Willie's never hit 100. So,
no, 120 is a massive
serious, yeah.
That is, you're putting on a clinic every night offensively.
That's a clinic.
Yeah, but you hit 120 in the league. That's a
I just
statement.
don't think he's a guy that is in the He didn't go get the puck back. You get him the puck. Like
Sure.
Kucherov is a guy like that. Kucherov, I remember talking to people out of Tampa, and they said, watch him. If you put an ISO on Kucherov, you can count on one hand during a game where he's at full speed. And the rest, it's like he knows where to go. He's always in the right spot. Kind of feels like he's at half speed, but he's not. He gets there. It's really interesting to watch those guys work because they look like they're not trying, but they're always in the right spot for the puck.
It's anticipation, Jamie. It's just
Yep,
like
it is.
99. Like 99
Yep.
wasn't blazing speed, but he always knew where the puck was going to go. He was just 2 steps ahead. And that's why they look so good. It's like, how was he standing there and the puck got rimmed there? And it's like that guy knew that was going to happen before it happened.
Yeah.
Just anticipation.
It is. They're great. Like, you're right. The reads, their IQ, where to go on the ice.
Yeah.
But, like, Panarin's a great player. Just wrong timing. You know, it's the same thing. It would be the wrong timing, but I was talking about, like, Ottawa would be the type of team that, adding to – but they're 8 points out, too.
Right. It's tough to justify right now.
And it's tough to justify, and you don't have – if you're trading for a guy like that, you probably need an extension in the back of your pocket.
100%. And
Let me ask you guys,
you
just brought up a great point. How come in Ottawa it's let's make a charge here, but in Toronto it's
I thought
down
the
to
same
the
thing
studs?
today. Oh. Well, here's the only thing I would say. And it's a great point. They're exactly tied in the standings, all of that type. Same amount of games remaining. And if you look at the sites, both of those, the sites of quality of competition, the Leafs and Ottawa have like the toughest schedule. One of them, the top 5 toughest schedules down the stretch here. The one thing I would say a difference in Ottawa, like you could probably circle one thing and go, if you fix that, that team looks different. Mm-hmm. In Toronto, what's the one fix? Like, I don't think they're one move away where, again, same standing, same everything. But Ottawa, you can identify what they need fixing. Where the Leafs, there's a little bit more there.
Yeah,
maybe.
well, I think it seems abundantly clear with the Leafs. It's the defensive play, but that's more than just one guy.
Right.
Goaltending, you need one.
Right.
You get one good goalie who's going to give you 50 to 55 starts. Boom, you're in.
Right.
And they were planning on that with Allmark. With the Leafs, we referenced the stats yesterday: 32nd and shots, slot shots, rush chances, everything.
So
third last in goals against. They got to clean up their defensive play, or you can't win.
Well, and also too, I don't know if you're at one defenseman added from like
no,
it
I don't
being
think you are. I think you're 2 or 3 in and out. And
men.
Yeah, and listen, the forwards have to help with that too. There's some forwards that need to take that into account. Like if you've got, McMahon and Domi and Robertson and Cowan and Yarncroke, like those guys defensively, it's not going to help you.
Well, one last thing, guys. I think the biggest question that we should be talking about, or as it leads up to the deadline, they've got a couple looming unrestricted free agents that they've got decisions to make.
Big time.
And what do what are you going to do with those? Because those are assets, or are you going to sign them and keep them in the loop? And
we will be doing that a lot. I think
yep.
over the next number of weeks for sure. Yep. All right, Best Bets coming up, powered by FanDuel. OverDrive continues up on YouTube Live.
to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Taking a bunch of favorites here in a same-game parlay tonight or a parlay tonight. Avs lost last night. Bednar was not happy. You know, he gave it the old, hey, credit to Ottawa, but we were terrible routine after the game.
They were.
Yeah,
yep.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like that, they got blown out effectively.
I think some teams had some big nights in Toronto, to be honest with you.
Vegas definitely did.
Vegas went out and got smoked after that game.
Yes.
Because they got clobbered by Ottawa.
Yeah, Sunday they got smoked.
Yeah. And it's not saying if you it's just some shocker, but I think both teams, if you're looking at the behind-the-scenes stuff, possibly some big nights in the T-Dot.
I think you're right.
Makes sense.
Colorado and Vegas, I think, did the old play and stay and then head in, and that was probably trouble. Probably trouble. And they got wins, which, again, Colorado, and that game was at 1:30. So that was the old bag chuck, your boy Hal Gill routine, back to the hotel at like 4:30, and where are we going for dinner at like 5?
Yeah.
That's rough. Or amazing, whichever way you want to look at it.
That's amazing.
Well, the Habs better be on their game tonight because the Colorado will be pissed.
That's why I'm on the Avs tonight. Like, they're paying a little bit of juice, but I'm on Colorado, I'm on Tampa, and I'm on Pitt. That's your parlay tonight for the games. Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Must be 18 plus, physically located in Ontario. What's interesting, Celebrini, McDavid getting a lot of hype. You got Bedard and Sid tonight in Pitt, right?
Oh,
Chicago,
yeah.
Pittsburgh. And Bedard's been struggling since he returned. You know, his numbers have not been great. I think he's got 1 goal since he came back. That shoulder injury derailed the season. He was playing so well.
Yeah, he was great.
He was playing so well. Chicago was in the fight, and they're just, they're not anymore. But anyway, all right, Leafs Kraken tonight. Let's see what they got on this roadie, right? 4 games on this road trip. Turn the page. Let's see what the Maple Leafs have in store. Full breakdown tomorrow. Just over a week away from the Super Bowl. We'll start looking ahead to that as well. There's a lot to get into tomorrow. We're looking forward to it. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today, TV, radio, podcast, web, and, of course, up on YouTube Live. Every show up on TSN's YouTube channel. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.